Tension today. China warns Philippines over South China Sea dispute. China has warned the Philippines that it must act with caution after the recent series of disputes in the South China Sea, Beijing's foreign ministry said. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has asked the Philippines to resort to dialogue to address what China views as serious difficulties in their relations over the South China Sea. The statement from China comes as incidents of scuffles between vessels from the two countries have escalated in the past few months. On a call, Wang told his Philippine counterpart, Enrique Manalo, that if Manila misjudges or partners with ill-intentioned external forces in the disputed waters, China would defend its rights and respond resolutely, according to a statement by China's foreign ministry. The ministry went on to claim, the root cause is that the Philippines has changed its long-standing policy stance, reneged on its own commitments, continued to provoke and stir trouble at sea, and undermine China's legal rights. Describing the call with Wang as frank and candid, Manalo said they ended the call with a clearer understanding of our respective positions on a number of issues. According to the readout, relations between China and the Philippines at a crossroads, ties between the two countries have deteriorated since earlier this year when Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. praised the friendship the countries shared. China and the Philippines have been engaged in a dispute that escalated after their vessels collided twice in October in the South China Sea, a strategic trade corridor where the two countries have overlapping territorial claims. On December 11, the Philippines summoned China's envoy and flagged the possibility of expelling him following the latest clashes near Second Thomas Shoal and Scarborough Shoal in the South China Sea. China-Philippines relations are at a crossroads. Faced with the choice of where to go, the Philippines must act with caution, the readout from the Chinese Foreign Ministry said. China claims most of the waters within a so-called 9-dash line, which is also contested by Brunei, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Vietnam. On other media, Taiwan warns of enormous Chinese bases near its South China Sea holding. Both Taiwan and China claim most of the South China Sea as their own territory, but Taiwan only controls one island in the contested Spratly Islands, deep in the southern part of the sea called Ituaba, which Taiwan refers to as taping. Both Taiwan and China claim most of the South China Sea as their own territory, but Taiwan only controls one island in the contested Spratly Islands deep in the southern part of the sea called Ituaba, which Taiwan refers to as taping. Some lawmakers from both the ruling and main opposition parties have called on President Tsai Ing-wen to visit Ituaba before she steps down in May to assert Taiwan's sovereignty and view a newly renovated harbor that can take larger ships. Both her predecessors visited the island, but she has yet to do so while in office. Asked by reporters about calls for Tsai to go to Ituaba, Taiwan Foreign Minister Joseph Wu said there was no doubt the island belonged to Taiwan, and the government would defend their sovereignty over it. China and the Philippines have been involved in a dangerous standoff in the South China Sea of late, but the situation around Ituaba is also tense, Wu said. China has already created very enormous South China Sea military bases on the three islands surrounding Taping Subi Reef, Fiery Cross Reef, and Mischief Reef, and these are all quite close to our taping, Wu said. As the dispute continues to intensify, we in Taiwan must consider how to use peaceful means to resolve the South China Sea issue, and not let others think we are creating difficulties. If there is an opportunity, Taiwan will use the best way to demonstrate its sovereignty over Ituaba, he added without elaborating. Ituaba has a runway long enough to take military resupply flights from Taiwan, but is lightly defended compared to the nearby Chinese-controlled islands. Chinese forces generally leave Ituaba alone. China has carried out extensive land reclamation on its South China Sea islands, building major air force and other military facilities, causing major concern in Washington and around the region. China says it has every right to build on and defend what it considers its territory. Taiwan also controls the Pratas Islands in the northern part of the South China Sea, and both China's Air Force and Navy regularly operate nearby to assert Beijing's territorial claims over Taiwan, which the government in Taipei rejects. Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei claim other parts of the South China Sea in dispute with both China and Taiwan. Meanwhile, the Philippines has been butting heads with China for years over the disputed South China Sea, but increasingly the Southeast Asian country appears to be preparing for another potential battleground. Earlier this week, Defense Chief Gilberto Teodoro visited a naval detachment and ordered a military buildup on Mavulis, the northernmost island of the province of Batanes, which Teodoro described as the spearhead of the Philippines. China wasn't pleased with the development. In a press conference Thursday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin warned that the Philippines must tread carefully and don't play with fire on this Taiwan question to avoid being manipulated and eventually hurt. Given the Philippines' proximity, Mavulis is only 88 miles from the southern tip of Taiwan. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said last year that it's very hard to imagine a scenario in which his archipelagic nation remains untouched by any conflict over the self-governed island that China claims sovereignty over.